Good morning, my friends. A military salute for you there. So as the video says, 3 years in sobriety. Here's what happened. It's been the greatest thing that I have ever done in my whole entire life. And I guess my hope is today that even if one person watches this who's maybe struggling, who's maybe thinking, I need to give up the drink, back from a relapse, anybody sober curious, my hope is that I can share a message for you and you think, do you know what, I'm just going to give this a try. So that's what I'm here to do today. To tell you what it was like, to tell you what happened, and to tell you what my life's like today. And it's quite different. So it blows my mind. I'm 3 years of continued sobriety. And what it was like at the start, it was amazing. I have to be honest. I absolutely love the effects produced by alcohol and drugs. But they stopped working. And I didn't know why. All the times people are telling me that I drink and take drugs abnormally. They're saying, John, just go home when the pub shuts. You just need to get the right girlfriend. Why don't you stop going out here and go out there? Stop drinking Buckfast and drink lager. Just make sure that you don't drink on a Sunday and you'll be at work on the Monday. Only drink if I'm going to the football, and all of these other ideas that would work for normal people. But I didn't know that my body and my mind was abnormal until I came into the rooms of recovery and I get given this information. All the other times I'm getting information like, just moderate, just stop going out in Glasgow and go out in Edinburgh. Why don't you try meditation? Why don't you try running marathons? Why don't you try boxing fights? Why don't you try going to another country? Just take £30 out with you and leave your bank card in the house, John, you'll be alright. But every time this substance enters my body, a switch goes down and all bets are off. My friends are going home and they're saying, just go to your bed. But I cannot do it. And I don't know why. So, what happened is at some stage I crossed this imaginary line. I went from the confident, outgoing man who was sitting in pubs and parties, who was full of life, full of party, and at the end of my run, I cannot string a sentence together, by the way. I just can't do it. I'm telling lies to everybody. And I'm the creep that's sitting in the corner who can't talk. Everybody else is getting on with their lives, houses and jobs and cars and girlfriends, and I just can't seem to do it. So I don't know that I had crossed this imaginary line, and I still think that I'm in control, and my mind takes me back to all the good times. Being in Ibiza, tea in the park, concerts, there's girls, there's lots of drink, there'll be nightclubs, there'll be strobe lights, and everything's going to be brilliant. But the reality is those days were gone a fucking long time ago. And I keep hearing all that information. Just go home at shutting time. And none of it works for me. And I don't know why. So the start of my running, drinking and drugging was amazing. I absolutely loved it. But then I crossed this imaginary line. And I become the lone wolf. I'm no longer drinking in pubs and nightclubs and going to Ibiza, and it's me sitting in the house on a Tuesday, paranoid, the blinds shut. And I've crossed this line. And I remember trying to do Sober October, and like after 2 or 3 days I was climbing the walls. I just can't do it. And on 3 years ago, that Christmas there, God willing, that was the last time that I drank or used. And basically what happened was all of this big story, and I was drinking in a house on Christmas Day, and I walked up the roads and I was paranoid and I thought I was being followed, and I slipped and I fell, got a white t-shirt on, it was raining and there was hailstones and they were battering off of me. And I remember screaming out, like, I cannot do this anymore, man. And I got a link to some recovery podcast. I don't know his name, the Towie or the Chelsea people he is, I don't know his name. And he was like, have you tried a CA meeting? And that was on Christmas Day. And that was playing in the back of my mind. And it got to tonight, which is the night of the bells, we call it up here in Glasgow. And I was getting ready. I was going ready to go back out. And I forgot all of that stuff that happened at Christmas. It's just a distant memory now. Because this next time, it's going to be different again. And I was getting my shirt and that ironed, and I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to go onto Google, and he said if you go onto the CA UK website and type in the postcode, you get meetings round about your surrounding area. And that's what I done. And there was a meeting for the 1st of January, or I was going to the boozer that night. And by the grace of God, I went to the meeting on the 1st of January, and the rest has been history, as they say. So I came in and I looked about and I seen sober alcoholics and drug addicts. Now, on my own willpower, I cannot stay sober for one weekend. was just too much for me. Just can't do it. And I come in and I see people 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years, 25 years. And it was blowing my mind. So it becomes apparent to me that somebody in that meeting knows something that I don't. Because how are they that sober and I can't do it? So I started to think that some of these rules, these people are laying down work. You know, how do I know that they work? Well, I was sitting looking at it. Do you know what I mean? And that led me to asking somebody, what do I need to do? And he said to get the big blue book, Alcoholics Anonymous, to work the 12 steps that's outlined in the book. And he said you will never need to drink or take drugs again. Or more importantly, feel like how you feel just now. And I believed him. And this was the first time I was ever offered a never again. It wasn't, you'll be able just to cut down, you'll be able just to stop going to that pub and go to that pub, you'll be able just to drink a Saturday, because none of this stuff worked for me. He offered me a never again. So I came to think that if I done what he done, then I would get what he got. And that led me to getting the big book and working the steps. Do you know, when I remember reading the book, and it's called, the first chapter's The Doctor's Opinion, and it tells me that I'm bodily and mentally different from normal drinkers. And the problem is described as an allergy. And the minute I heard that, my ears perked up and I thought, fuck, I do react differently from normal people. And we're in the dictionary and it's described as an abnormal reaction. And now all of this other stuff's starting to make a bit of sense. This is why I can't just go home after the dancing. This is why I can't stop drinking because I'm going to work the next day. This all makes a bit of sense. I'm going to keep reading. So it says that I'm allergic to alcohol and drugs. Now, with an allergy, there has to be a reaction. And I'm allergic to penicillin as well, so I just don't take penicillin. If I do, I come out in a rash, you know what I mean? But with alcohol and drugs, I don't come out in a rash or a high temperature. I break out in what's described as the phenomenon of craving. And it tells me that this craving is limited to people like me, which is a hopeless alcoholic and drug addict, by the way. And it's all starting to make sense. It's saying that only I have this craving and this obsession to get more drink and drugs. And this is why they can go home at shutting time. This is why they go home after the dancing. This is why they can go to work. This is why they can do all of these things and I cannot. I will do anything for the party to keep going because I obsess about more and more and more. And this lightning bulb went off and it says, fuck, I think I might have that thing, by the way. And in layman's terms, it's my body can't handle alcohol and drugs normally, and my mind will always take me back to it. Because the next part is the idea that this time it's going to be different. I've got this obsession that somehow I'm going to beat the game and I'm going to recapture the older days of girls, parties, nightclubs, the dancing, Ibiza, heart full of parter, but those days were gone. But I always believe I'm just nearly there. If I just get it right, then I could recapture those old days. But the party was over long before I even got in here. So if you're relating to any of this and you think, that sounds like me, you might be one of us. And how I was qualified to be here was I was asked some simple questions and just says, John, just answer yes or no. I said, all right. He said, when you start drinking and drugging, can you just stop abruptly? No is the answer. I've never been able just to stop there and then. So my answer was no. And he said, when you stop on a Monday or whenever it is, can you stay off it for a long period of time, like months or years? My answer's no. I'm back on it again in a few days. And he says, when you start drinking and drugging, can you control whether it's 2 glasses of wine or 2 bottles of wine? I said, no. And he said, when you start, do you have a choice in what happens, how much you're going to drink, how much you're going to use, what carnage you're going to cause, what lies you need to tell, and when it's going to end? And I'm like, no. And he said, if you answer no to any of these questions, you're probably an alcoholic or an addict, and you've got this illness. And he said, but we've got a solution for you, and it works 100% of the time. And I said, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And in the big blue book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it gives you some directions what to do every day and how to live your life. And by following those directions that are in that book, I haven't had a drink or drug since. So what my life's like today? Well, this month everything's went wrong. I've had to get a new car. I was then away up Loch Lomond and I got a puncture and I had to get an emergency tyre fitter out to change the tyre. And today I came home and I've put hundreds of stuff in the washing machine. There was smoke coming out of it. I could put too much in. But I'm able to deal with things differently today. The money that I've had in the bank just to be able to go and solve those issues wouldn't be possible without Cocaine Anonymous. I feel a peace and serenity, which is indescribable. All of these wee things that used to bug me, they no longer do. I can go anywhere in this world as a free man. And I don't think about drinking or taking drugs today. You know, I lost my driver's licence years ago when I was drinking. I've got that back today. I've got a new car. I've done my house up from top to bottom. I went to college and uni for almost 10 years learning how to be a sports coach. But at the end of my run, I was working in factories for minimum wage. I'm delighted to say that I've got the job of my dreams today. I'm back working in the sports and fitness industry. I'm coaching the next generation of young children. And I'm telling them that they can make positive change to their life through sports and fitness. I put my head on the pillow tonight and I'll just go to sleep. You know, New Year's night was a big night for me when I was younger. I feel at peace today. I'm content, I'm happy. Recovery is the greatest thing I have ever done in my life. And it's the thing that I'm most proud of, and I include military service in that. I include raising money for charity, marathons, ultra marathons, all of this stuff. This is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And the gifts that it has gave me is beyond belief. I'm a different person to what I was 3 years ago. And a lot of my so-called friends at the time, they're no longer there. Because what I realise today is we just drank and took drugs together. We didn't even really like each other. And that was mind-blowing for me. You know, I spent decades and decades with these people. But when you get sober, they're no longer there. If you are thinking about giving this a go, we tell people give us 90 days. 90 days of willingness and commitment. And if your life doesn't get any better, you can go back out and get a bit more research, a refund on your misery. The greatest thing is realising that it's just one day at a time. My mind can't process 3 years. But what it can do is process today. Yesterday's done. Tomorrow might never happen. But today, I'm just going to stay sober the day. You know, I got a sponsor and he says, like, there's 24 hours in a day, John. You're going to go to sleep for 8 of them. You're going to go to work for another 8. You're going to drive to work and back and get changed and eat and shower. You're going to go to the gym and going to go on a meeting. He said, John, you've got about 2 or 3 hours left. He said, surely to fuck you can stay sober for 3 hours today. I said, aye, I can probably do that. And this big massive thing becomes really small. Sobriety has given me everything that alcohol and drugs promised me. I hope that one person watches this and says, do you know what, I'm going to give that thing a try. I came out of debt, I've lost a bit of weight, I'm back looking good, I'm content, I'm happy, I'm at peace. I drive a new car, I'm in a new built house, I've got money in the bank. I make a difference to young children's lives today. I help people get fit and lose weight by attending my fitness classes. My relationships with everybody are better. But none of this is possible without Cocaine Anonymous and the 12 steps. I'm living the life that I should have been living for all those years. But I just wasn't ready for it. Alcohol and drugs were the most important thing in my life, but today they're not. You know, as we go into a new year, God willing, one day at a time, we'll be here in a year again. I've rambled on for a while now, but if you are watching this, give us 90 days, give us a chance. If your life doesn't get better, go back out. I was so broken drinking and taking drugs that I was willing to do anything. And in the big book it gives you a breakdown of steps. And my sponsor says, if you do that every day, John, you will only drink or take drugs one day at a time. And God willing, that's been my experience. So it's the bells tonight. What I'm planning to do is to get a head start on everybody else who drinks tonight, and I'm going to go into the new year fresh, happy, ready to attack next year's goals. It's the greatest thing that I've ever done in my life. And if you are thinking about it, we have got the solution to alcohol and drugs, and it's in the big blue book, Alcoholics Anonymous, and you'll never need to drink or take drugs again. Thank you. Good night and God bless.